So let's go ahead and get started on setting up a Google Classroom. If you've never done that before, it's very simple. Just a couple clicks and you're set up. I think about Google Classroom as a virtual copy machine for my students. So I don't have to run down the hallway to the copier and get somebody to watch my class anymore. I can actually send them copies of work through Google Classroom, and it's accessible on a Chromebook, it's accessible on a laptop, it's accessible on an iPad, it's accessible even on my phone. So wherever I am, I have access to all the materials that my teacher has pushed out to me in class. If your page looks anything like mine, maybe you've archived all your classes from last year, or maybe this is the first time you're going over to Google Classroom. So will you meet me at classroom.google.com and let's get started. In the top right-hand corner, let's start by clicking the plus button. Click Create Class. Now go ahead and fill out the information here. The only thing that matters is the class name. So after you've filled out the information, go ahead and hit Create. So we're currently looking at the stream for your Google Classroom. So the first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and personalize it, and let's select a theme. If you already have a banner, you can upload a photo there, but let's go to Select Theme. So we've got a couple different ones to look at. If you teach a specific subject, you can hop through the headers up here. So let's go ahead and pick one that we like and hit Select Class Theme. You'll notice up here at the top, we can see the name of your class. We can see the class code. We'll talk about that later when we add students to your class. And then, this is new, we've added a Google Meet link. So anytime your students need to join you on Google Meet, they'll do this through Google Classroom. They'll go into their Google Classroom and then they'll click on the Meet link that's visible to them. So again, we're in the stream right here, and this is kind of like Facebook. Every time you add something, it's going to be added here on this stream. So this isn't somewhere you go to find organized things. The stream is like Facebook. As you make a post, it goes to the top. I'll show you how to clean that up towards the end of this training. The stream is where you can post questions right here and address everybody. Students can reply back and forth to each other and even create their own post right here to ask questions. So depending on the age of your students and the maturity of your students, and maybe even a little bit of your bravery, you might want to turn this off before students enroll in the class. Again, I'll show you those settings towards the end of the training. We're going to move across the right top of the bar here and work through all the buttons. If you're like me, just log in and click all the buttons. The worst case scenario, we'll delete this after the training and we'll start a new one because you'll already know where all the settings and the buttons are. So let's just click some more buttons. Let's go up to Classwork. Classwork is where that virtual copy machine lives. This is where we push assignments out to our students. This is where we give them content and links and YouTube videos and Google Drive links, and can send them links to other websites like Nearpods and Vocabulary and Flipgrid, all that kind of cool stuff. So we have Classwork. Let's start here with the Create button and click that. We can create assignments, quizzes, so you could create an assessment right here without leaving anything and going to a different website. We could create a question. We can post a material. And if this is your first time, reuse post isn't going to be very valuable to you. But if you've used Google Classroom in the past and have ever created any of these assignments, check this out. Reuse post. Look at all these classes I've been a part of. I'm going to go up here to my old PL with Mr. Fuller. And all I have to do is click one of these and hit reuse, and my students have access to it. So I don't have to do all these steps that we're about to go through over and over and over again. After you've done it once, it's done, and that's the only time you have to do it. You can go back and revise these. So let's go ahead and hit reuse this Google Expedition. And check this out. I get to come back in and I can change the due date. I can make it graded or ungraded. I can assign it to any students I want. And I can change my topic here. I can even add more things to it. So it's very customizable. So if you've already created things in Google Classroom, you can pull them from past classes and reuse them. If not, sorry, you get to create everything from scratch this year. So let's go through the different things we can create. First is an assignment. So if I'm going to pass out a Google Doc to everyone, this is the easy way to do it, or a Google slide. We're just going to call this first assignment. And here's your instructions. Let's click that add button and see what happens. So we can add something from our Google Drive. We can add a link from the internet. We can add a file. Don't add Microsoft Word documents or PowerPoints. Your students are on Chromebooks and iPads. They cannot access those materials. Convert them to a Google slide or a Google Doc before you add them on here. We can also add a YouTube link. So if we need our students to access video content, we can do that here as well. Let's move over to the right bar. We can pick which class we're assigning it to, which students we're assigning it to. So once we have students enrolled, we'll see all their names listed down here, and we can select just specific students. So if I need some remediation or acceleration for some students, if I need to differentiate a little bit, I can send things out just to those students. We get to pick, is this ungraded, or is it worth 100 points, or is it worth 50 points? So we can change all that around. We can add a due date. I would add a due date because then it pops up, one, on your student's calendar in their Gmail account, and two, parents can get a notification of when this is due. So let's go ahead and say this is due on the 20th, and I'm going to go ahead and make it due back to me by Thursday, August 20th at 3:00 p.m. From there, we can add a topic. So if I want to organize things, which I'm going to show you how to do in our next lesson, this is where we add those topics. So my topic is going to be week 1, and that's my topic for this assignment. I'm going to hit assign to go ahead and assign that, but let's check this little drop down and see what else we can do. We can assign it right now. We can schedule it for later, or if I'm not finished, like it's almost lunchtime, I can hit save draft and come back later. I'm going to go ahead and click assign. And now I can see under my week 1 topic right here that I have assignment number 1. Let's hit create again and look at quiz assignment. So here we go. We've got our first quiz right here. First quiz. We give our instructions right here. And look, it already created a blank Google form for us to use. So I can click on that Google form. And I have my question number 1, which is multiple choice on there. Click on answer key. And go ahead and do that. This is worth 5 points. Hit done. So we see option number 1 is the correct answer right there. I'm going to duplicate this just so we can quickly have a couple questions in there. And now I need to name my quiz. Quiz 1. And we're going to talk about some organizational techniques for you in our next lesson. So we're just doing this very quickly so you can get an overall view of the things that you can do here. So I'm going to close that tab because I'm done. Let's double check. I click on that quiz 1 and it pops right back up. And so it's ready for my students. So my instructions will be take the quiz. This one's going to be worth 100 points. I'm going to say the due date is going to be, I'm going to do a Monday quiz at 3 o'clock p.m. is when I need them to have it completed by, and hit assign. So you notice I did not add a topic this time. So quiz 1, even though I made it after I made assignment 1, is at the top. So if I want to keep this organized for my students and they're all working on week 1 together, I'm going to click on the 3 dots, click edit, and let's go back and add that to the week 1 topic and hit save. We're back on the Classwork tab, and now we see everything is right here under week 1. Let's hit create because we have a couple more options. We can ask a question, so this could be a quick poll of the class. Question 1. Let's ask the question here, what is your color? We have the choice of short answer or multiple choice here. Let's give them a couple different options. Now, this is going to be something we're going to do in week 2. So let's create a new topic. Call it week 2. Make sure it's there. This is going to be an ungraded question, but I do need them to complete it. And it'll be the week after the 17th and the 20th. So let's have them complete it again. I'm going to choose by the end of the day. We're going to be flexible here. And I want students to be able to see everybody else's answers, so I'm going to leave that box checked where they can see the summary, so then we can have a conversation about that later. If this was a short answer, there would be another section where students could reply to each other. So this could be a discussion question for your students. Read an article, post a thought about that article, and reply to 2 other classmates on that article. So we can be very creative with that. Let's hit ask the question. Again, we have the options to delay that there and have that post later. So to schedule that post for later, we do have that option. And if I want week 1 to be on top and week 2 on bottom, all I need to do now to organize this is click, hold, and drag those around. So it's super simple for you to stay organized. Any changes you make here on the Classwork page will be reflected on the students page. Now, if I need to zoom in on week 1 over here on the left with all topics, I can just click week 1 and it's going to take me there to zoom in on those topics. The same with week 2, or I can click all topics to go back to everybody. Up here at the top again, materials. So if I want my students to have my class website, then I can go here and add a link. And I can add a link to a website so my students can easily get to that from our Google Classroom. I'm going to hit post. When I hit post, of course, it's going to go up here to the top. And just like the topics, you can grab an uncategorized assignment or material that you've made, and you can drop it wherever you want. So let's drop him on week 2 just to move him down and out of the way. Let's hit create one more time, and we see we have gone through everything with the assignments, the quizzes, the questions, the materials. We looked at reuse post. So maybe one of these, maybe I'm going to ask a question every single week. So I could go back and hit reuse post and go back and grab question 1 again and hit reuse there. And I have the option now to change that question and to change those answer choices. And throw him in week 1, hit ask. So that's how easy it is to reuse a post. So you can do that for anything that you're going to ask weekly, anything that you're going to reuse there. Instead of hitting create and asking a new question, just hit reuse there. Make it easy on yourself. We can access our Google Meet here as we go across that bar. We can access our Google Calendar. So let's take a look at the calendar since we've added due dates on some of these assignments. Click calendar and head over to August, and we can see all these assignments here. Now what's nice is there's actually a link back to the Google Classroom assignment. So we can get to this assignment in multiple ways, one being from our Classwork tab and the other being from our calendar. All right, back to our Classwork page. The last one, we have a Google Drive folder, and this is going to take you to the class folder for your students. This is going to take them to their class folder with just their assignments in it. So let's click that, and it's going to open up Google Drive for me and show me I'm right here in my first class, and I'm inside of my classroom folder, and here are the assignments that I've pushed out. So right now all we have is that one Google form quiz in there. This will quickly fill up, and I'm going to show you some ways to keep it organized in our next section of this training. So we've covered Meet, Google Calendar, and our Drive folder. Remember, you cannot tear anything up, so go ahead, create a class, click around on here. Let's go to People. This is where all of your students will be listed. You can do this the hard way and click Invite Students and manually type in every email of your student in there, or what I like to do is have my students type in this class code. And don't worry, don't squint too hard. There's a way to make that a lot bigger and to get this done a lot faster. I'll show you as we move through the rest of the menus. If you have a co-teacher here, you can click the plus button and invite them to teach. So if you teach math with somebody else and have a co-teacher and you need them to have access to Google Classroom to help manage some of the assignments and to do some grading with you, this is where you add them right here with the Add Teacher button. So right here we have teachers, and to the right of that we have Invite Teachers, and then we have underneath that students and the Invite Student button. This is useful if you get a student in the middle of the year. So instead of pulling the class code back up and everything else, you can just click plus, type in their email address, and invite them quickly. That is everything on the People page. When you learn about guardian notifications and inviting guardians, you'll familiarize yourself with this page a little bit more. But again, that's in another training. So we're just clicking buttons and learning our way around Google Classroom today. Last tab up here is Grades. So of course we haven't done anything yet. We don't have any students, so this isn't going to be populated, but this is your grade book inside of Google Classroom. This is optional. You do not have to use the grade book in Google Classroom. You can use PowerSchool. Just know that if you auto-grade things like that quiz, when it's finished, it'll auto-populate a grade into the grade book here for your students. So just want you to know it's available. I'm almost done hiding over here where the gear is. Let's click on the gear. That's your settings window. You can go in here and change the name of your class, add a description, add a section. Again, the section doesn't do anything. The room number doesn't do anything at all. So you can leave those blank if you want. Let's head down to General right here. And we have our class code. This is the code that your students will type in to join your classroom. So if you have 25 students sitting in a classroom, we're going to click the drop down. We're going to click Display. And then we're going to click the bracket button to go full screen. And I'm going to help all of my students join my Google Classroom by telling them to click on the plus button just like you did, and they're going to click Join Classroom. Type this code in, hit join, and then they have access to everything you've published in Google Classroom. Very simple. Next is the stream. So remember I said the stream is kind of like Facebook and it can kind of get messy and isn't very useful. Well, we're going to make it a lot more useful by clicking right here on the little arrow that says students can post and comment. And we're going to say students can only comment. So that means they can only comment back to the prompt that you give. So you're the only one that gets to post, just like on your personal Facebook page. You're the only one that posts to your personal Facebook page, but then people can make comments on that post. Next is classwork on the stream. We're going to clean it up even more And instead of show condensed notifications, we're going to hide notifications. So our students are already going to be going to the Classwork tab to find all of their classwork. They're not going to thumb through the stream to look. So we're going to hide all those notifications to show everything and see how it's cleaned up. I'm a fan of keeping show deleted items turned off. I don't want to see things I deleted. I deleted them for a reason. And then we're going to turn on Guardian summaries. So make sure that that is turned on and toggled on, because we're going to use Guardian summaries this year to help our parents know what's going on with their students in the classroom. Then we're going to hit Generate Meet Link. When you generate it, it turns it on so it's visible to students. I'm not ready to use it with my students yet, so I'm going to turn it back off. But again, this is where your students will go. They're going to go to Google Classroom to get on the Google Meet and meet you for our virtual sessions. And then grading over here. Again, this is all optional, so it can calculate the grades for you, or you can do all that in PowerSchool. That is completely your preference, but here's where you can set your grade book up right here. I'm going to hit Save. So again, that was the quick overview of Google Classroom. So I haven't invited any students or really made any work yet. So I'm going to click on the burger in the top left and click Classes. And I see my first class right here that I made. Well, I really didn't like green. I want to go back and change some colors and wasn't happy with how I designed everything. So I'm going to click the 3 dots and hit Archive. Yes, Archive. It's going to move all the work and everything associated with it away. And now I have my nice, clean Google Classroom landing page ready to go. So here's what I need you to do before you watch the next video on Google Classroom about organization. I need you to hit that plus button in the top right hand corner, and I need you to hit Create Class and have a Google Classroom ready to work along with me through our next training session.